This excellent, new, amazing album by Little Simz, Lotus, is despite its excellence, kind of fractured. It's kind of in two parts. I think I'm going to be calling this review Yoda Soul or something kind of goofy like that, and I'll talk to why the inspirational craft of it all. But it also is an album that really kind of bums me out because it turns out, and I listened to it for the first time, and I didn't know exactly what was happening. Like, I didn't read anything about the album, so I was like, wow, she is really mad at somebody. This doesn't seem like a breakup. I don't really know what this is, but she seems to be really mad at somebody. And then I looked at the credits, and it started to become clear to me, and then it turns out that she's suing her previous producer, Inflow, for, I don't know, or she lent him £1 million, or £2 million, and he didn't pay her back, and now they're in court, and it just bummed me out because I really like Inflow and Little Simz as a duo, right? I think they make really great music together. It would bum me out. It happens all the time that bands break up and they start suing each other. It bums me out. The Beatles, NWA, Guns N' Roses. I just wish, though, there were like a better comparison of like some time where a beautiful young multi-talented woman of African descent made an album that was like mostly inspirational, but also partly about breaking up with a previous musical partner. I wish there was some... She just Lauryn Hilled us again. The thing it reminds me most of is the Fugees. Now, I don't think that Inflow and Little Simz were romantically linked, nor will I look it up because I don't care. But a lot of what made Miseducation of Lauryn Hill great was her amazing wisdom and foresight and insane talent and ability to do so many things at once. But then part of it was also a breakup album. Especially an artistic breakup album with Wyclef. Jeez. I did Lil Wayne with Wyclef, and now I'm talking about Lauryn Hill and Little Simz. It's small Fuji week, I guess. Ooh, that's a bad joke. So this album is interesting because I get the sense that it is kind of like when you break up and you see your ex the next time. Okay, let's say you break up with someone and you see them at the supermarket, but they don't see you. So you like pull the cart over. You maybe get out your phone, you look at yourself, you sort of, make sure your sideburns aren't all crazy like they are sometimes in my videos. Readjust your pants, make sure they're sitting properly, do your best, fix your posture so that, when she sees you randomly, you're like, oh, hey, I didn't see you there. How you doing? There's a degree to which this album feels like it is her trying to prove that she doesn't need him. And the verdict is in. She doesn't. Miles Clinton James is making this music, is producing this music, is playing a lot of this music, and I have a hard time explaining exactly why it is so good. It's not like it's the only rap album ever with live instrumentation, and it's not even the only Little Simz album with lots of live instrumentation. But there's something about the way that this guy is using the bass, the drums. There's like a minimalism. There's not too much emphasis on orchestration. Everything is really tasteful. Everything is really impactful. It goes between so many different genres. It's sort of playful at the same time as being very full of gravitas. It'll be bossa nova 1 minute, and then it'll be kind of a reggae thing, and then it'll be all sorts of other genres mixed into one, but without ever feeling like it's trying to do too much. I have to say, I'm amazingly skeptical. Because Inflow and Little Simz work so well together. But I've been reviewing Little Simz for a long time. This is, I think, my 4th or 5th project that I've reviewed of hers, and I still think my favorite is Drop 6, and that's not with Inflow. So there you go. But still, it's sad. It's sad to see two musicians who you like and respect. Inflow worked with Tyler last year, right? I mean, this is not a nobody. Okay, so what is this album? It's all those things. It's mixed up. it's very British, and I know that's a silly thing to say because it's made in England, but at times it reminds me a lot of the ska group, the Specials, just in the way that there's a kind of fun brattiness, very heavily accented. And then we get to this weird term I came up with, and sometimes when I do this channel, when I do analysis, I have perfect explanations of everything. I know exactly why I'm saying what I'm saying. I'm going a little bit on vibes here and just say that when I first had the term break into my head, okay, of Yoda soul, it just made sense to me. Why Yoda? Because Yoda's full of wisdom. Yoda is full of dispensing wisdom. Yoda is also playful. And the main position that I see, besides anger and inflow for the money thing, the main thing I see is a real sense of wisdom and sharing wisdom and showing some kind of inner strength despite being small. And I don't even know if little Simz is even small, but I mean, in the eyes of society, first-generation immigrants of a different race than the dominant... than the majority, inherently are made to feel small in the society. Judge me by my size, right? And as well, you should not, okay? For My Ally is some really great music. Now, why do I call it soul? Well, part of me is joking around because it's like, the Yoda soul, like the soul of Yoda. But also, when I think about all these different soundscapes, what it made me realize is that I just felt like I was listening to a soul album. I felt like I was listening to Curtis Mayfield. I felt like I was listening to Marvin Gaye. Of course she's rapping, so it's not really a soul album, because can you make a soul album where most of the music is rap? That's my question to you. Can you make a soul album where most of the music, most of the singing, most of the vocalizing is rapping? I can think of one example. Do you remember a couple years back when Lotus came out by Little Simz? That's all I can think of. And it is important to remember too that this is for you Americans. Most of my viewers are American, and most Americans don't understand international hip hop. That's okay. The same way that Americans don't understand other languages, because, to put it crudely, we don't have to. Most Americans don't think about hip-hop in other countries and how it's different. So the relationship, the nature of rap made by first, second, or by immigrants themselves, it has a whole different meaning. It doesn't have to do with a couple hundred years of slavery and Jim Crow and the Civil Rights Act and the failure of the, it doesn't have to do with, it's a totally different set of questions. And so I really enjoy this album and all of her work because that's at the basis of everything, but it's not explicit very often. I will say that she is, I believe, first-generation Nigerian, and her best collaborator on this album, and there's a lot of great collaborators, is actually just from Nigeria and moved to England at a young age. I don't know how to say this, so I'm going to do my best here. Obong Jayar. Obongjayar. Coincidentally, his management team emailed me, and I get so many messages, would you please review this? But the PR guy's last name happened to be a town in Serbia, and I looked it up, and so I was like, okay, I'll just take a listen, and it's great. So I might end up reviewing Obong Jayar as well. This might be, instead of it being Little Lil Week, maybe it'll be British Nigerian Week. So let me get into the album. If you're not sold yet, I hope you are, but if you're not sold yet, I think just listening to the two songs featuring Obong Jayar, you'll really appreciate. I'm going to start with Lion. The guitar on this song. Now, this is the only song on the album that feels to me explicitly trying to sound like African guitar or be like African music. There's a sort of interesting, I want to say jaunty, but that's a silly word. There's a pep to the guitar, right? There's often a lot of pep in African guitar. There's interesting rhythms happening in the back. There's even this little tiny saxophone that comes in. And just right off the bat, I bet you've never seen a young black woman so fly, Simz has arrived. I have to clear my throat. I'm not going to do that on camera, so just wait there for 1 second while I clear my. Let me clear my throat. It's like, just to start right off the bat, you've never seen a young black woman so fly. I hope I don't need to talk to you about the nature of intersectionality, but it is important. It is important because women are often overlooked and minimized in society and made to feel small and unimportant. Non-white people are often made to feel small and unimportant by the dominant society. So just the opening line, bet you never seen a young black woman so fly. It's great because we live in this time where female rappers are doing really well, are perhaps doing the art of hip-hop better than male rappers on the whole, just on the whole, okay? Just in general. And what's funny is I can already imagine people listening to this and being like, oh, cool, there's a British Doechii. Don't get fooled. She's been doing this at least as long, if not longer, than Doechii. But it's great. I've got the heart of a lion, my Nigerian pride, everybody scatter, scatter. It's very intentionally for the people of England who are also of Nigerian descent, I imagine for the entire Nigerian diaspora. And once again, these are people who are often made to feel less than, who are asked to assimilate and erase their native cultures. Very often, that's part of the immigrant experience, is feeling like whoever you were is not okay. And that's not what this is. This is just, I'm young, I'm black, and I'm a woman, and I'm from Nigeria, and this song is just, it's just rules. That's how it makes you feel. Understand, I'm Lauren in her prime when you see me. She's just saying it. She's just saying it out loud. And it's great because Lauryn Hill, and if you haven't watched FD Signifier's video on Lauryn Hill, please do. It's great. I assigned that video in my class. I'll hopefully remember to put it in the description. Remind me if I didn't, because I sometimes forget. But she created this lane with the miseducation of Lauryn Hill. She created this lane and then took the next exit. I'm sorry. People call me arrogant, but I just came up with that on the fly. I'm going to take a sip of coffee. Smash the like bucket. Subscribe. AVAA stands for awesome video as always. Join my Patreon, okay? Because I just came up with that right now. So I'm going to take a sip. Lauryn Hill blazed a trail, created a lane, and then went tick, 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 and just pulled on over. And so there's this beautiful highway, this beautiful infrastructure built, and there weren't enough people ready to start taking that lane. It just, for whatever reason. And it seems as though there's just been years and years and years of trying to figure out how is it going to happen. And then within a couple of years now, in the 2020s here, we see this rise of Little Simz. We see this rise of Doechii, and we're starting to see that maybe there are going to be more people in that lane. And this chorus by Obong Jayar. This album is sort of like the guest appearances are so great because it's not like she just got other rappers. She just got other musicians to come in and do interesting things. We don't care for what they say. That's my superpower. Beautiful. Their first collaboration is on the second song of the album, Flood, which also features someone called Moonchild. And the album is like, there are songs like this that are basically a posse cut, but it's like, you know how posse cuts in music can often be sort of exhausting because you have like so many people doing stuff all at once. The production here from Clinton is just the ability to mix together these voices and have them do things at the right time. It can't be easy, and it is a truly spectacular success. So the great thumping drums and low bass and the way she kind of sings to start. And it's just like, as I walk around this wicked ground, keep away from the devil's palm. And she starts like whisper rapping. And so she's like whispering while these low toms and bass are going. It is so well produced. It does make you say in flow who. And just to be clear, I'm not taking sides on that. I mean, obviously I feel more of a human connection to Little Simz, but we don't know. We don't know anything, you know? We don't know. I'm not joining any, and also, Inflow doesn't happen to have the talent, visibility, or ears as everyone else. So anyways, I'm not going to get mixed up in other people's business, but I will be describing what I hear here. She kind of gets into a little bit of her kind of Yoda bag. Number 4, don't react to a clone. Do not be the one throwing stones, you should not. But then listen to this line right here. Never eat with the hyenas, because they look at you as bones. There you go. That's it. That's why we like listening to good music, everybody. Never eat with the hyenas. Don't eat with the people who eat carrion. They look at you as bones. Keep the business away from the family. Sibling rivalry is vicious. We'll get back to sibling rivalry. It's meant to be you and them guarding the blood, protecting the family business. And just the voice of Obong Jayar, like, he's really adding a lot. And there's like that kind of, sometimes you hear a singer. And I'm not just going to say, I don't know, James Blake, because he's a British guy. And I'm not just going to say Sam Cooke, because he's a black guy. I'll say both of them. That way I'm covered, making sure you understand I'm not trying to be reductive here. But like, just some people just have a voice and you just hear it and there's like some kind of really deep connection. There appears to be some sort of like leaf blower happening in the background. I hope you just hear the Cardinals instead. Okay, so let's go through the rest of the album a little bit quicker here. It opens up with the song Thief. Just rocking. The way the guitar and bass interlock. The guitar is basically surf guitar, and these drummings are just so funky and so good. And this is where it reminds me of the Specials, the way the chorus is. Thief. Da, 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 da. This is the town. Man, do y'all know the Specials? The Specials are so good. Seriously. Are the Specials like a top 10 British band? This is not at all what this video is about. But can I just put that out there? Right? Are they potentially a top 10 British band? They might be. I'm taking them over Blur. You putting Blur ahead of Specials? Get the hell off my channel. Okay? Just skedaddle. All right. But again, this song became a lot more sad when I realized exactly what it was about. But it's funny because when I first heard it, like, I didn't know specifically who, and then she starts talking about gaslighting, and a lot of this album is explaining gaslighting. And that's what's funny, is even when she's in her sort of vengeance bag, she's always kind of dropping some sage advice explaining how gaslighting works. The person I've known my whole life is coming like the devil in disguise. My jaw was on the floor, my eyes had never been so wide. I found out you were a thief. She gives specific dates. June 20th, I was torn apart. Therapist asking what's on my mind. Where do I start? I've been in survival mode, banging a drum in tribal mode. Why are you so obsessed with me? It's rough. It's rough. It's like, it's a very, very raw album. It's a raw, creative breakup album. I don't know. When I think about, let's go back to the Beatles. Are the Beatles better than the Specials? You can think that. I probably think that. The Specials probably think that. But like, I don't know if you know this, but in the 70s, basically each of the Beatles, except for Ringo, had a song like saying F you to the other Beatles, especially John and Paul. They had like a real beef going back and forth with songs like How Do You Sleep? And it sucks. It sucks to listen to them. And it might be that creative breakup albums are more vicious than love breakup albums. Then we get to the song Flood I just described, and then Young. This is a song. I could see this song breaking through and everyone just saying, oh, she's just doing Doechii, because there's like multiple voices here, very heavily accented. But this is a sort of, speaking of solo Beatles, this is kind of a working woman blues kind of song. It's just about like the life of the lower class, and that the life that they choose of playing bingo to get money and drinking too much and going out on the weekend, that it's actually a kind of freedom, that being poor is being free because you have less to lose. I don't know. I'm obviously I'm in a good position in my life. I have a nice deck, so I'm not going to say that seems a little bit strange to me. The song doesn't quite sit right with me for that matter because I think saying like, oh, I sure wish I were poor. Anyways, but it's still an interesting idea. It is basically an anti-capitalist idea that this is her idea of a perfect life. Living out your wildest dreams. We're just young and dumb, no responsibilities, don't care for anyone. I will say, as someone with 4 kids, 2 older teenagers and 2 babies, there are times where I do wish I had a little less responsibility. It's a lot. It's a lot of responsibility. When 47 years old, you become, look this good, you will not. A little reference to Amy Winehouse, too, which I think is nice, as kind of like a wink and a nod to maybe a great working class figure in England. I taught myself everything. She's trying to talk her way out of getting ticketed or getting arrested. Talked about how to, she taught herself everything because presumably the state has failed. I taught myself how to make a proper English breakfast because I'm a little teapot, short and stout. What's interesting is this isn't even really an immigration thing or a race thing or an ethnic thing. This just feels like it's a class thing. And I love the way it's sung, and I love the electric guitar, and I love San Dimas. Then we get to the song Only featuring Lydia Kitto. This is the bossa nova beat. It's a great beat. This was the first time I was listening. I'm like, what precisely is this album about? Because when you listen to it the first time, you're like thief and flood, and then like I like getting drunk and I'm free. But this is the love song, so that's nice. There you go. Those Cardinals are nice and loud now. However you need me, I'm down for the cause. You say we're going to war, we're going to war. So it feels to me, I might be reading this wrong, it's just a nice love song, which in some ways might make it less fitting in with the rest of this album, because most of this album feels either attacking one person or trying to lift up the world, especially the world for black women across the globe. And then we get to Free. Oh my God. This is the biggest FU to Inflow, and it never says a single thing, because the production on this song, Miles Clinton, okay, I have to look up his name now. Is it Miles Clinton Jackson? Miles Clinton James? The thing about Miles, I know it's Miles, I know it's Clinton, Miles Clinton James. So the thing about Miles Clinton James is this song is an absolute, it's just a masterpiece. It's a masterpiece of production. And I'm not saying hip-hop production, I just mean production in general. This has a full 70s soul feeling, wishing that the love would set us free. Right now everyone's running around and entering, I'm looking at you, Lil Wayne. Everyone's running around in AI and typing in soul, 70s soul-like song where they say the name of my dog and how it's in love with my other dog. Click, and then you all of a sudden have a love song like, my name is Toby, and I love you, Bobo. And it sounds kind of like it. It sort of sounds like 70s soul if you squint and pretend that you can't totally tell it's AI. So how about instead of that, if you're a millionaire musician and you can afford it, or hell, even if you're not a millionaire and you can share equity, why not go on down to the local music university, just knock on a door and say, hey, any of y'all want to make some awesome music? I know one thing about musicians. If you tell them, I'm rich and famous, you can be on my record, they're not going to ask twice. They're not going to sit there and go, oh yeah, but I'm actually playing that new Mario Kart game, and which I'm not. I can't find the Switch too. I'm playing that new Mario game, and so I can't come. No, they're going to run right there. And you might end up having them work together, and you might end up having them making a song like, wishing that your love would set us free. Is this hip-hop? Fuck yeah. Is it soul? Fuck yeah, it's awesome. And I had to write his name down so that you all know. Alexander Bonfanti. I don't know if he is a studio musician legend in London and everybody goes to him and his rate is $1,000 an hour, or if he's just a kid who's finishing up his last year at uni. Shout out to JF Musics, who just finished, speaking of bass, I believe just finished a bunch of exams in his uni, because he's a British hip-hop YouTuber. But this guy, Alexander Bonfanti, this is some of my favorite bass I've listened to in a long time. Just listen to the bass. Just listen to the bass. Anyways, it's going to be embarrassing. It's going to turn out he's some legend. I'm like, whoever this Quincy Jones fellow is. But again, I'm going back to this because so much of this is the kind of Yoda vibe that I'm talking about on this album, you know, of like, love is this and fear is that and fear leads to suffering, right? It's kind of that, but it's not. You want to know why? You want to know why it's better? What's the song called? Okay, it's called Free. And it's about how to be free through love by being free from fear. From fear, you must be, right? Okay, I'm going to stop. But what's the most repeated word in the song? It's not even free. It's I think. I think. She's coming from a position of uncertainty. She's coming from a position of humility. I think that love is forgiving yourself. I think that love is offering your immediate help. If you say it like that, so you got the badass, you got all that going. Jeez, I'm going to do too close to a Trump dance. I promise you, not all white dudes just do Trump dancing when they dance. Okay, I'm in a TikTok situation. You can't see below the torso. I think that love is like, imagine if she sang like that. I think that love is forgiving yourself. I think that love is offering. I think the key is being honest and being yourself. And then the second verse is all about fear. And that's it, the division between love and fear. I don't need to simplify things, but that is basically it. Okay, now I'm going to get into my Yoda bag. If you break down life, it is basically love and fear, that most good actions in the world are taken out of a sense of love, compassion, care, empathy, all those things. Those are the things that lead to goodness and to happiness. And fear is what leads to misery and, fear leads to anger. Anger leads to suffering. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering. Like, that's how it works. So, I don't know. I would say that this is a completely great song, and then it's over, and you're all set. Wait a minute. Wait, it's not over. We haven't gotten to the outro. So, another young YouTuber whose work I enjoy very much is a guy named Read My Soul. I think I shout him out in almost every video at this point. I kind of go in phases, where I end up sort of overlapping with different creators at different times. So he was on a live stream, just talking bullshit, right? Just doing a live stream thing. At some point, someone said, "Listen to Little Simz," and he's like, "Well, I've never listened to Little Simz." So he puts on the song "Free," and that was the first time I heard it. There's a bridge on the campus where I work. And so I was like walking over the bridge and I was listening to him talk, because I have YouTube Premium. I'm listening to him talk. It's in there. And I hear the song. It's the first time I've heard it. And then I'm hearing him hearing Little Simz for the first time, being like, this is what I want. And I'm like, this is what and we talk back and forth a fair amount, but I don't know him in person, But, we chat. And so I'm seeing that. I know him well enough to know that, like, oh, this is great. I get to hear the time where someone hears Little Simz for the first time. And then the outro comes on. And he's just sitting there behind his desk, just like, every time I bust a lyric, I'm feeling so free. Every time I'm on stage, I be feeling so free. Auntie Simbi called me when my niece, Auntie Simbi, she called me when my niece turned free. The way that this free comes in this outro, it gets you so hyped. And Reed was feeling it, and I was feeling it. It was the best kind of reaction video. It was unforced and real. And I don't even know if it's still up online because I'm a member of his channel. You could join my channel too. Join his channel. Do whatever you want. I used to bump the train to college. I would travel for free. Never miss a countdown. It was 5, 4, free. 2, 1, take off in the air. I'm free. I like that they're using free as meaning free and also 3. Just great. And it's a tease because it fades out. You love it so much and then it fades out. Then we get to the song Peace, which is like this, another one of these posse cuts of really creative people, the Steve Lacy like warbled guitar, and it's about having empathy. It's about seeing people and caring for them. It's about love instead of fear. Seeing a 16-year-old on the street, if you can't give her wisdom, at least give her grace. Can we just take a second to applaud little Simz for writing that lyric? Because that's the case. When we think about young people, when we think about young people and lobsters, when we think about young people, I'm not going to do Jordan Peterson talking to Yoda. You want me to do that? Do that? I won't. Okay? I'm not going to do it. But when we think about young people, we look down on them, we criticize them, we talk about how all they do is TikToks and Tide Pod challenges, right? That's all we do. That's a current reference, isn't it? That's all we do. But like, are we really actually offering wisdom to the young people, or are we just criticizing them? So if we're not going to give them wisdom, if we're not going to give them a proper education, if we're not going to give them a good social safety net, if we're not going to give them a safe digital universe to play in, if we're just going to throw all of these kids into a bunch of labs that are run by corporate ghouls, if that's what we've done for our kids, at least give them grace. At least give them grace. Don't sit at a kid and say, like, oh, all they care about is TikTok. Instead, we should say, what the hell did we do to ourselves? Why are we letting 50-year-olds on social media? What? We shouldn't do that. There shouldn't be teenagers on social media. It's not a good idea. And you're saying, that's crazy. I know it's crazy. We used to think that 7-year-olds should fix factories. Well, how else are we going to get the screws that fall out if we don't have little hands? Anyways, this great haunting vocal in the background. There's like no drums here. It's just like piano and percussion. It's all about getting a peace of mind, and life's riches is excess. Minimalism doesn't mean you spend less. Love is the currency, and it's endless. Love versus fear. Love versus fear. At a certain point, delicate percussion comes in, and then Moses starts singing. And there's this repeated sense, this repeated phrase of I deserve it all. And I think, again, when we're talking, the expression I deserve it all, obviously, which is, we're thinking about because of GNX, I think it's a really important sentiment said by marginalized people because they are often just structurally denied so much. So saying I deserve it all is kind of close cousins to I deserve anything. I deserve to be treated with grace. Grace is like the most underrated emotion in human interactions, I gotta say. Grace is really beautiful. I'm just gonna say this. I don't do ads, so this is gonna be my promotion, okay? If anybody in your family if your family goes through a tragedy, it is inevitable that one of your siblings or family members is going to be absolutely out of pocket, or you are. And the best thing you could do is just afford grace, because grief is a really tough time. Grief is a really, really difficult thing to work with. So just assume that that person is being a complete and total asshole, is in just as much pain as you are, and you might be an asshole to them. So as much as you can, extend them grace. That doesn't mean forgive the bad behavior, still keep your boundaries, but show them grace. Now who's preachy, Yoda? Hollow, these kind of swirling sounds, and flute and choir, so many different soundscapes on this album. Okay, so this is sort of about a lawsuit. Law and Order, you was in my corner, allegedly, what a fake supporter. This is my least favorite song on the album because I can only think of two artists who have songs about court proceedings. Michael Jackson and Morrissey. Now those are two musicians who I like a lot. Musically, Morrissey probably doesn't want Little Simz in England, so despite the fact the Smiths are like my favorite band, despite the fact that Smiths are up there on my Mount Rushmore of British groups. Anyways, so I don't know. This song's just very bitter. It's funny because it's the most lush and romantic sounding song. It's this like sweet Hollywood musical scene, but it's very, very bitter. And again, it goes into the concept of being gaslit, which is important. When you are gaslit, that's the work of a deeply insecure person, emotionally insecure person. Damn. which leads directly into Line, which I already discussed. I don't know if I said that it reminds me of Curtis Mayfield. So, very kind of Curtis Mayfield singing. Enough featuring Yukimi Nagano. Oh, did I mention, by the way, that Miles, Clinton, James actually played drums on Free? So there's a certain part where like the double hi-hat goes, like that's him playing drums. Man, I think that's maybe part of the reason why the album is so good, because it's made by someone who is a drummer or who can play drums. And maybe that should maybe that should be the new thing. If you are going to be producing a rap album and you're not like a traditional hip hop producer, know how to play drums. So this song, Enough, is this disco drum beat, but very complexly played. A little like play piano in the back. My 2-year-old, I was listening to this with my 2-year-old, and she said, "I like this music." Like she heard this, and so I have a 9-month-old. Sorry, time moves impossibly slow and fast. And so all of us are banging on the table together along with this. And then I look up because of the drumming on this song. The drumming on the whole album is great, but the drumming on this song in particular is otherworldly. And I thought I would like to meet and shake the hand of this drummer. And I did. It's the drummer from Black Midi. It's Morgan Simpson. And he's a very nice guy. He talked to my son about drumming for like 10 minutes. He didn't have to. Very, very cool, very chill dude. So anyways, that's my 2-year-old was not impressed that I talked to the drummer because she doesn't understand how life works. So, if I told her I met Cookie Monster and hung out with him, she'd be like, "Cool, Poppy." Just really killer beat, just insane drumming, so catchy. Don't make me pull the plug. This is the best song for the gym. I am an electric black girl. I mean, not me. The lyrics. That's what she says in the lyrics. And at the end, there's Yukimi, who's another singer, and she has kind of a childish voice. And so my 2-year-old goes, "The kid is singing," which was very funny. Then we get to Blood, which this is the We Cry Together for siblings. This is a conversation between a man and a woman. It's a facsimile of a conversation between siblings where one of them is famous and the other is not. Little Simz takes the position of the person who's not famous, so maybe it's like she's replaying the conversations that her family has with her. Distance in the dark. I feel we've grown apart. If you want greener grass, you have to water where you are. Want greener grass, do you? On the other side of the fence, it is not. Under your feet, it could be, right? That's where we are. And it's great because it's a lot about like the difficulties in families, especially when you are first generation immigrant, where often your families will depend on you, and it's a different dynamic than what you are probably used to if you aren't from an immigrant family. But then there's just a whole bunch of it that's universal. Like, I thought you were the favorite, and why haven't you called? And I have called, and I have to explain this. And like, it is like one of the most real songs. Like, this made me, I've got 3 brothers. I talk about them a fair amount on this channel. These are all conversations I've had with my brothers, and we've never said any of these words, but these are all, even the way like they talk about the nature of abuse and the role that it has in my family. The brother says, "We the same but different, and we came up different. I had to take Dad's whippings. They then had to shake up prison." And then she says, "Yeah, well, I had to hold Mom crying so that all that pain I ain't buying." Like, you end up getting into the suffering Olympics when you're with your brothers. Like, I have older brothers, and so I'm like, "Yeah, well, I was around after my dad had his hip replacement and during the Reagan era when he just got drunk all day and screamed at the TV." And they're like, "Oh, well, we were around for the 60s and 70s when the parties were going on and there's just a bunch of weird flunky." Like we have sort of like weird competitions when in reality, like, we're all just suffering. And at the end, he says, "I only phoned you because I need a friend." At the YMCA, I was crying like a baby. Because I felt this so much. Kind of like reggae-like instrumentation here, kind of like stutter step. Then we get to Lotus featuring Michael, I've never said his name out loud, Kiwanuka, and Yusef Daouz. This crackle of vinyl, this sad opening on singing, the bass comes through halfway through. The drumming here is just so great. Almost psychedelic. It's almost kind of like Lil Yachty-ish from that last Lil Yachty album. The second verse goes hard with even more drumming. Open fire, all my life a fighter. Dropped out of college, still I made it through the wire. This may be the best flow on the album, the most kind of like rappy rap flow on the album. And it's the most emotional song on an emotional album. I just realized something that I should have mentioned before, but I didn't have it in my notes. So, two things that I've forgotten. One, that opening track, Thief, is a lot like the song Lost Ones by Lauryn Hill. So Lost Ones is my favorite Lauryn Hill song because it's my favorite rapping, my favorite beat. That's that kind of like bitter breakup song. The other thing I forgot to mention is there's another song where they sing in an African language and it's Zulu. And I like that because that indicates a kind of Pan-Africanism because they do not speak Zulu in Nigeria. Okay, it's very, very different. Zulu is more southern, Nigeria's right. It's so like it's not actually like it's not just like oh it's an African language. There's hundreds of African languages. So all right, sorry I forgot to say those things. What do you want from me? It's like 7:30 in the morning here. I wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning to do these videos for you all because that's the only time in my life I have to do it. Rest assured, your voice is heard. I'm listening, but I don't want to hear no talk about giving in. She's pumping herself up. This is like an empowerment anthem. There's this great outro where this Yusef fella is, or I don't know, just singing, and it's just so well produced, and it's just so lush, and it becomes like a jam. And you forget you're listening to a rap album because you're not listening to a soul album that happens to be a rap album as well. And the drums are going, and you're just in this little jam. The album ends with doesn't end. The penultimate song is Lonely. Penultimate means second to last, not the very much last, just in case you didn't know. Gorgeous piano and drums. I think this might be all Miles playing all the instruments here. I was lonely making an album, attempted it 4 times, lost my confidence, and you wouldn't believe why. So, emotionally honest rappers are in a tricky spot because if you're emotionally honest and you're not just trying to talk about all the distractions that you feel in your life so you forget that you're going to die or you get over trauma. So that is to say, like, if you're not just going to be talking about cars and money, etc., if you're not just going to be talking about the same things over and over again, you have to have something else to say, which means very often emotionally honest rappers, because there's so many words you have to say in a rap album, they often will rap a lot about the process of making the album itself. Sometimes too much. This case, it's not. I felt with No Thank You, which I liked a lot. Weirdly enough, sometimes I might be introverted is my least favorite Little Simz album of the 4 or 5 that I've reviewed. I still love it, but anyways, that's like considered to be her best by most people. I don't know. But so in general, she has rapped a lot about herself and the position that she is in music and the way that she makes music. But I like this because it feels like it's the breakup album where she feels lonely and doesn't know how to start because she lost her collaborator. Thinking, what am I to do with this music I can't write? And then full on, this is where the soul idea came to me because this just sounds like it's a What's Going On track. The Marvin Gaye bongos and guitar lines. Trying to make an album means bearing my whole truth, unpacking the fuckery I'm trying to heal through. I have a hard time explaining to you how important of a lyric that is. Because she is kind of a lofty queen, right? Right? Come on. You think... I imagine that you meet her and she just radiates brilliance and glory, right? That kind of person. But this is a great tool to make sure that she stays humanized in your mind because she's talking about bearing my whole truth, unpacking the fuckery I'm trying to heal through, referring to her trauma and her difficulty as fuckery. It's great. It's disarming. It's unexpected. And she's singing the chorus herself. And there's a certain point where the bass kind of goes off, and it reminds me of a song on King of Limbs, another great British band, by Radiohead. Doom, 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 doom. I think it's Bloom is the song with the bass. Anyways, I was lonely making an album until I realized my story is all I can pour out. So she was lonely until she realized the only thing she can do is make music. And the only one she needs is herself. That being said, if she did 3 albums with Miles Clinton James, I wouldn't be mad. Just don't lend him, don't lend friends money. By the way, it's a dangerous thing, lending friends money. if you're out there watching, Aaron, I lent you 20 francs. Okay? I lent Aaron 20 francs. No, 100 francs. That's like 20 bucks. I lent him 100 francs. We were right there on the old port, right by where there used to be the Télécabine in Marseille, okay? I lent him 100 francs. And he said, cool. Now, mind you, he's paid for meals. He's not, like, it doesn't matter at all, right? Like, I stayed with him in New York, right? Like, it doesn't matter at all that 25 years ago I lent him 100 francs. But I've never forgotten that 100 francs. Now, I've never brought it up again. I wouldn't ask him again. I don't think he watches this channel. I haven't talked to him in probably a decade. He was my best friend for a while, and I still remember. And if you don't know about, like, European history, francs haven't been used for a long time. So, lending someone $1.7 million, yeah, that's crazy. That's not crazy. That's difficult. Do any of your friends owe you money, or do you owe your friends any money? Tell me that in the comments. The album ends with Blue featuring Sampha, another great voice, more gentle soundscape, acoustic guitar, piano. Sampha adds so much. The truth is, God still loves your enemies. And I like that because even though this album's very angry, she is very spiritual as well, and God does love your enemies. So that means God loves inflow. That's her saying God loves inflow. Like, I might hate him, but God loves him. That's a meaningful thing. And it's a whole call to empathy. Feeling compassion. For compassion. I talk about it all the time on this channel. The other thing I advertise is for compassion. It means to suffer with somebody. Passion means suffering. Suffering. And come means with. That's the prefix for with. So you are suffering with somebody. That is the only path forward for humanity. Because if you, for example, I don't know, if you see somebody at a Home Depot parking lot and they are offering to come and cut your grass for 20 bucks, and you see that their clothes aren't particularly clean and they don't speak English, and you just think, why is this person in my country? They're just trying to take jobs from good, hard-working, scruffy little kids in my neighborhood who would cut my yard for 50 bucks. But, you know, still, what happened to the America that I knew? Who are these animals who are here, right? Like, that's how you think if you don't think with compassion. If instead you think, oh, well, that person's probably from a part of the country which has been torn apart by the drug trade, which is largely funded by the fact that I like doing coke every once in a while, and I guess that has to come from somewhere, so I guess someone's entire infrastructure has to be destroyed. I guess the war, the global war on the global south has some kind of consequences that means massive swaths of migration, and I have to remember that my grandfather came here off of a boat and was treated like crap. You know what I mean? Like, if we don't actually feel compassion, if we don't see other people as human beings, then we are, and I don't mean this like figuratively, we are literally doomed as a species. That will be the undoing of our species. That's how it starts and that's how it ends, a lack of compassion. So here we go. If you had a family of 4 and the kids wanted things you could never afford, bailiffs banging on the door, parents are losing their memory, your brother's in penitentiary, he writing to you but he ain't there mentally, just going through a whole bunch of things. Like, what would you do? How would you feel? And she says that God told her she is the best for the job of sharing this kind of compassion. So there's my review, everybody. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Should I do O Bang Jayar? I think maybe I will. And show some compassion to people. Because this is true. Every human being is a human being. All right. Well then, I guess I'm done being preachy. Hey, have there been a lot of birds? I just refilled the bird feeder, and I see that it's shaking back there. Tell me, what kind of birds have you... What the fuck? What was that? What is that? Did you see the thumbs up? What is that? I didn't tell my computer to do that. Wait, this happened the other day. I said something, and it didn't affect. Let's see if it does again. It makes me sad. Rainstorms. Okay, it did a rainstorm before. All right, so like the video? What the hell? What in the universe is this? What is this magic? I don't want this. This is stupid. This makes me look Gumby. I don't want to be Gumby. What the hell is this? One more. What is this? Oh, you don't have any answers there, do you, Camo Studio? making me look like an amateur. I don't want to look like an amateur. I want to look like a dilettante. All right. Shout out to people who know what those words mean. Dilettante is like somebody who like does a little bit of everything and teaches himself. Autodidact means self-taught person. That was the word I meant. I want to look like, fuck me. There's the video. There's the video. Are you gonna do it again? Okay, has to be 2. Wait, what if I do this? Do I get? Hey, there's the camera.